21-time Academy Award nominee Meryl Streep. One of the best, one of my favorites. I've talked about her on my channel before, but I've barely scratched the surface of all the remarkable performances she's given throughout the decades and all the spectacular Oscar races she's been a part of. There truly is so much to explore, and so many questions too. She's won 3 Academy Awards thus far, but of the other 18 nominations, how many times did she come close to winning? What were the races where she had 0 chance and was just happy to be there? And what were a few gold trophies I personally wanted to see her win? It would be way too much of an undertaking to do a Meryl Streep and the elusive Oscar video. Let's be honest, that would run about 5 hours. So what I'm going to do instead is start a new series, Meryl Streep and the Oscars, which will explore in chronological order the fascinating evolution of her career from the 1970s to today, each video discussing a handful of her movies and going in depth about an Oscar race Meryl Streep was a part of at the time. In this first video, we're going to talk about her backstory, her first movie Julia, her Emmy-winning role in the miniseries Holocaust, and her very first Oscar nomination for her role in The Deer Hunter. Yes, if you're a fan of Meryl Streep, you've come to the right place. So sit back, relax, and let's start at the beginning. Born June 22, 1949 as Mary Louise Streep, she first called Summit, New Jersey her home. Her mother was Mary Wilkinson Streep, a commercial artist and art editor, and her father was Henry William Streep Jr., a pharmaceutical executive. Meryl Streep enjoyed acting from a young age. She appeared in numerous school plays during her high school years, but she was uninterested in serious theater until she acted in the play Miss Julie at Vassar College in 1969, in which she gained lots of attention across the campus. She received her Bachelor of Arts degree in drama from Vassar College in 1971, and she received a Master of Fine Arts degree from the Yale School of Drama in 1975. Her stage career began in New York in the mid-1970s with featured roles in such plays as The Taming of the Shrew, Henry V, and Measure for Measure, the latter of which she starred opposite John Cazale, the powerhouse actor from The Godfather, who she entered a relationship and stayed with until his death in 1978. She started auditioning for film roles, but didn't succeed right away. One film she didn't get was 1976's King Kong, which she talked about on The Graham Norton Show.
And the father said to his son, in Italian, because I understand Italian, he said, "Che brutta." You know, why do you bring me this ugly thing?
Whoa.
So I said to him, "Mi dispiace molto, but I understand what you're saying. I'm sorry I'm not beautiful enough to be in King Kong."
She continued to appear on stage, receiving her one and only Tony Award nomination in 1976 for Best Featured Actress in a Play for her role in Tennessee Williams' 27 Wagons Full of Cotton. There's actually video of this award on YouTube, her first ever televised appearance, and even in the beginning, Streep knew how to be a warm and gracious loser. She made kind of a random voice appearance in the animated film Everybody Rides the Carousel, which was broadcast on CBS in September 1976.
I've done it for my little brother a million times. Just hold still, hold still, hold still.
All right.
If you move, I'm going to prick you, and then
You better not.
you'll die.
Her first on-camera acting appearance was in Secret Service, opposite John Lithgow, a PBS broadcast that premiered in January 1977.
Your orders are to stay. You are given a special commission on the War Department Telegraph Service, and you will be in charge of...
No, I won't take it. I couldn't take it, Miss Varney.
And she also appeared in the TV movie The Deadliest Season, which aired in March 1977, where she played a woman married to a professional hockey player.
It's a job. I do what I get paid to do, that's all. You don't like it, you don't have to watch.
That's a lot of crap, Jerry. I watched you play. I watched you hit and get hit. It never bothered me. I knew you were strong. I knew you could take it.
She was doing so much great work on the stage that it was inevitable she would make a transition to the screen at some point, and the first director to give her a chance was Fred Zinnemann for his 1977 drama Julia, starring Jane Fonda and Vanessa Redgrave. The film tells of a struggling writer named Lillian who reminisces about a magical childhood she spent with a best friend named Julia. In her film debut, Streep is featured in 2 scenes playing Anne Marie, an old acquaintance of Lillian's, a fairly minor character who only gets a few minutes of dialogue.
Well, I'm glad you had time to see me. You look so very slim, Lillian.
Thank you, Anne-Marie.
Imagine Russia. My God, of all places.
I had 2 scenes in the movie. They cut one, and they put the scenes from the one that was cut into my mouth for the second scene. So it's like the worst debut, I think, anybody's ever made.
But what a great first film to be a part of. Julia, a critical hit at the time, receiving 11 Academy Award nominations total. Streep technically had her first brush with Oscar in early 1978, since her first movie, Julia, got all those nods, like picture, director, lead actress for Jane Fonda. The film won Best Adapted Screenplay and Best Supporting Actor for Jason Robards, his second win in that category in a row. And it's crazy to think, given all the Oscar nominations Meryl Streep has received throughout the decades, that Fred Zinnemann was so impressed by her audition that he reportedly thought about casting her in the title role of Julia before he gave the part eventually to Vanessa Redgrave. Well, that was very good news for Redgrave because she won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress. That could have been Streep. It could have been her first Oscar nomination, and maybe her first win. If she had been cast as Julia, I wonder how her film career and awards trajectory might have been different. I guess we'll never know. Julia also gave Meryl Streep the chance, of course, to act alongside Jane Fonda at the 2014 AFI Life Achievement Award to Fonda. Streep began the ceremony by thanking her publicly for recommending her to other producers and directors after they wrapped production on Julia. It's a wonderful, tender moment.
I thank you for that. I'm so glad I get to do it publicly. And all the young actors that I've worked with subsequently in the years following, thank you too, because that lesson got passed down, that kindness. And it does keep going.
Next up for Meryl Streep was a highly regarded and heavily watched 1978 television project. Although many consider her the best film actress of her generation, many forget to mention how fantastic she's been on the small screen too, like in the underrated 1997 TV movie First Do No Harm and the award-winning, incredible TV miniseries Angels in America. Her first genuine breakthrough as an actress was a story told on the small screen, an 8-hour miniseries called Holocaust, starring Michael Moriarty, Rosemary Harris, and James Woods. This was Streep's first major introduction to a large audience, Holocaust airing over the course of 4 nights in April 1978 to rave reviews and big end-of-the-year awards. In this saga of a Jewish family's struggle to survive the horror of Nazi Germany's extinction of their community, Streep plays Inga Helms Weiss, who marries Carl, played by James Woods, and becomes a member of the big Jewish family, a celebratory wedding eventually leading to a dark time in world history. The series has the many members of this Weiss family be the eyes and ears of the Holocaust, starting in 1935 Berlin and taking us well into the 1940s.
I'm going to try and get you some new identity papers.
Inga.
Then we can move somewhere else where they don't know us. Bremen, Hamburg.
Inga.
Then you can work.
Inga, you're dreaming. It is the same all over Germany.
Unlike 1977's Julia, this is a major role for Streep, and she runs with it, already showing great command of her craft, like in an early scene between her and Woods, where she expressively shows her love for him and her fear in losing him. Another moving scene involves Streep begging to see, or at least write, to her husband. Her emotions go up and down throughout the miniseries. In some scenes, she's trying to be the one in control. In other scenes, she breaks down crying. Her most emotionally raw moments especially ring true when you realize what was happening in her personal life at the time. Streep was living with John Cazale before his death in 1978, the actor who's known for the unique distinction in having all 5 of the films he appeared in nominated for the Best Picture Oscar: The Godfather Part 2, The Conversation, Dog Day Afternoon, and The Deer Hunter. According to IMDb, Streep actually took the role in Holocaust to help pay for Cazale's ongoing cancer treatment.
You know, he had obviously this terrible diagnosis, but he was strong. So there was definitely a lot of hope all along the way.
As her co-star James Woods noted at her AFI Life Achievement Award ceremony in 2004, Cazale was dying while Streep was shooting Holocaust, and he passed away soon after production wrapped.
He was lucky enough to have as the last vision of his life Meryl's lovely face.
The moments in the miniseries of Streep having to say goodbye to the love of her life, not once but twice, must have been heart-wrenching for her, considering the tragedy that was unfolding behind the scenes. As I said before, this was a very important early project in Streep's career. The series watched by an estimated 120 million viewers when it was first broadcast, so many people that reportedly in New York, the local water pressure dropped when commercials were on due to so many people using their toilets at the same time. The miniseries also cleaned up big time at the 1978 Primetime Emmy Awards, winning 8 trophies total, including Outstanding Limited Series. One of its 8 wins was for Streep for Outstanding Lead Actress in a Limited Series, which obviously gave a major boost to her career as well, but by all accounts, she didn't appear at the ceremony to accept the award, and according to author Aaron Carlson, Streep refused the Emmy Award on principle, Streep saying, "I don't think performances should be taken out of context and put up against each other for awards." Obviously, she changed her tune when it came to her feelings about awards, and such was the case just a few months later, in early 1979, when she attended her first ever Academy Awards ceremony on her first ever nomination for her role in the highly acclaimed epic war movie, The Deer Hunter, directed by Michael Cimino and starring Robert De Niro, John Cazale, and Christopher Walken. The famous late 70s film examines the ways in which the Vietnam War impacts and disrupts the lives of several friends in a small Pennsylvania steel mill town. Streep plays Linda, girlfriend to Nick, played by Walken. She agrees to marry him, but after the men return from Vietnam, nothing stays the same, Linda eventually growing closer to Michael, played by De Niro.
Well, I could fix that, though. I mean, one thing about wool, it's really a cinch to fix. Oh, Christ.
You could argue the role of Linda is kind of underwritten. Streep has said later on that she was essentially just playing the girl in The Deer Hunter, but she still gives the character immense weight, with moments of joy as well as heartache. Her emotional scenes toward the end of the movie, when she recognizes the love she has lost, make a lasting impression. Of course, her impending loss of her then-lover John Cazale, who plays a major role in the film and stands beside her in a few scenes, makes some of the sadder moments in the last third of the movie all the more emotionally devastating. Here she is, like in Holocaust, playing a woman dealing with the loss of the man she loves, while at the same time, in her real life, dealing with the terminal illness of the man she loves. Cazale was so sick that some were pushing against his being cast in the movie, but De Niro insisted he be involved, and Streep threatened to quit if they recast the role.
And Bob De Niro went to bat for John. He won't tell me because he's a very generous person, but I think he secured the bond on John's participation.
He was sicker than we thought, but I wanted him to be in it.
So Bob put his money down and got him in the film.
They ended up filming Cazale's scenes first, and he passed away in March 1978, 9 months before the movie's premiere. And what a movie it is! The Deer Hunter is astounding, extremely well acted, impeccably directed, and compelling all the way through. The scene that everyone remembers is the Russian roulette scene, a freakishly intense moment of the film that comes back to haunt and firmly put an end to one of the movie's central characters. There's also an effective storyline that relates to the title itself, when Michael approaches a deer after having been through the hell of war. As great as the film is, though, this isn't Meryl Streep's movie. She's only significant, really, in the very beginning and the very end.
But how beautiful was Robert De Niro?
She might not be the star of The Deer Hunter, but she absolutely stands out in a tremendous ensemble of some of the most gifted actors working in the 1970s. And if Julia got her foot in the door, and Holocaust was the first thing to introduce her to a wider audience, The Deer Hunter was the project that really catapulted her career to new heights, the film a major box office hit, as well as almost universally beloved by critics, Roger Ebert calling it one of the most emotionally shattering films ever made, and Leonard Maltin calling it a sensitive, painful, evocative work.
The Deer Hunter isn't a perfect film. It raises some questions it doesn't answer. It's got some loose ends, but logic and perfection aren't what you look for in a movie that basically exists on the level of emotion and raw human feeling. And it's been a long time, Gene, since a movie has affected me so deeply.
Awards attention came right away, especially given that the film only hit 2 theaters, one in New York and one in Los Angeles, on December 8, 1978, to qualify for Oscar consideration, and it didn't even have a wide theatrical release until February 23, 1979, just following the Oscar nominations announcement. This was actually one of the first movies to do that, open limited at the end of the year, and then go wide after everyone learns about its major nominations at the Academy Awards. The film cleaned house in this respect pretty much everywhere, receiving 6 Golden Globe nominations, including one for Streep in Supporting Actress. At BAFTA, The Deer Hunter received 9 nominations, Streep recognized there. In the Lead Actress category, Streep won Best Supporting Actress from the National Society of Film Critics and the New York Film Critics Circle, and then on February 20th, 1979, the nominations for the 51st Academy Awards were announced, The Deer Hunter getting 9 nods total, including Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor for Robert De Niro, Best Supporting Actor for Christopher Walken, and Best Supporting Actress for Meryl Streep, her first ever Oscar nomination. Her category had a couple of seasoned veterans, along with a couple of relatively newer faces. Maggie Smith was on her 4th Oscar nomination for her performance in the Herbert Ross, Neil Simon comedy, California Suite, Smith having won before in 1970 in the Lead Actress category for the prime of Miss Jean Brodie. Maureen Stapleton was on her 3rd Oscar nod, never having won before, for her performance in Woody Allen's chamber drama, Interiors. Diane Cannon was on her 2nd Academy Award acting nomination for her role in Heaven Can Wait, starring and co-directed by Warren Beatty. And finally, Penelope Milford got what would be her only Oscar nod for her role in Coming Home. Now, do I think Meryl Streep had a chance to win the Academy Award on her first go-around? I would say she was firmly in contention for a victory, given that The Deer Hunter ultimately won Best Picture and Best Director at the ceremony, and her co-star Christopher Walken won Best Supporting Actor too.
I'm very happy to have this. I salute Michael Cimino with this Oscar here tonight. And I'd like to add my thanks to the members of the Academy and to Mr. Robert De Niro.
But Coming Home won some Oscars too, and there was a lot of love for Heaven Can Wait, and I'm sure a lot of people were voting for Stapleton, who was a breath of fresh air in Interiors and was clearly strong enough to win. She ultimately did win 3 years later for her role in Reds. I think what hurt Streep the most was 2 things. First, she doesn't get too many scenes that truly show off her talent the way she does at both the beginning and the end of the following year's Kramer vs. Kramer. She's solid in The Deer Hunter, she's a welcome and necessary addition to the narrative, but her character of Linda is never richly drawn and memorable in a way so many of Streep's later characters would be. The other thing that might have hurt her chances, in a smaller way to be sure, was the strong backlash that built against The Deer Hunter in the weeks leading up to the Oscar ceremony. There was some orchestrated lobbying against the film, reportedly started by Warren Beatty. Jane Fonda criticized the movie, Julie Christie walked out of the movie at the Berlin Film Festival, and on the day of the Academy Awards, limos pulling up to the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion were met by demonstrators, mostly from the Los Angeles chapter of Vietnam Veterans Against the War. Robert De Niro was so anxious, he didn't even attend the ceremony. Now, this didn't prevent The Deer Hunter from winning Picture, Director, Supporting Actor for Walken, but maybe it hurt Streep a tiny bit, especially since her category was pretty competitive, with so many actresses who could have won. These 2 factors likely worked against her, and so ultimately, it was Maggie Smith who took the Oscar at the 51st Academy Awards for Best Supporting Actress. Her role in California Suite, as an actress nominated for an Academy Award, is one of the film's best. Her scenes with Michael Caine, who plays her closeted husband, always electric. Smith had won the Oscar before, as I said, but she was so consistently great in one movie after another that it made sense she would win a second trophy eventually, and the lack of a major frontrunner for Best Supporting Actress helped push her over the finish line for a well-deserved victory.
I just really can't believe it. I'm very, very honored and very grateful. I would like to thank Neil Simon. I would like to thank Herbie Ross, and I would very much like Michael Caine to be here because, believe you me, he was the most supporting actor ever in the world, and it really should go right down the middle. Thank you very much indeed.
But little did people know, this was going to be the first of many, and I mean many, appearances at the Oscars for the one and only Meryl Streep.
We've worked together 3 times. Each time was very special to me, but our first movie was The Deer Hunter. So it's no surprise to me that you're here tonight accepting this award. Nobody deserves this honor more than you. You are the real thing, and I love you for that. Congratulations.
As we'll talk about next time, she didn't just get nominated once again a year later. In the beginning of 1980, she won her first Academy Award for her magnificent performance in one of my favorite movies ever, Kramer vs. Kramer. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments below what you enjoy about Meryl Streep's performance in The Deer Hunter. Do you think she should have won the Oscar? See you next time.